It's different people working and some of them coming and going, but mainly Suya and myself. Jaime is a new PhD student that is going to join, well, from now on until the end of his PhD. And then the main PI is Duncan. We have other people also working from other universities. Also, obviously, Suya was started at Cambridge, but now he's in Exeter. And Vigeles is helping as well every now and then. He's in Bath University. Well, the agenda is just a brief overview and also an overview of the partners supply chain and then an example. Well, the overall idea of the project is to integrate information from the industrial systems that the companies have been using in the supply chain for the entire idea of the supply chain itself. And with all the new technologies coming from IoT settings that enable um, uh, new approaches to the same problems, right? And we want to get those benefits listed there, like more awareness of where the goods are at a given moment and what are the efficiencies of the different parts of the process and the different participants in the process, um, while we orchestrate better all those resources available. And then obviously more dynamic decision making coming from more real-time information of the process itself, and then also integrated reporting that is also enabling some integrated decision making between different partners in the same supply chain, right? So let's straight into
George, sorry to interrupt. Can you go full screen?
Full
the
screen.
slideshow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's too small.
Yeah, thanks.
Is that any better? Or...
but it shows the next slide.
All right. Why is it doing me this?
Then maybe keep it.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Is that any better?
Fold the above menu.
Don't know why. If I go, because I have a second screen. Just give me a sec. How's that?
Same.
Better?
This is still the presenter.
It's okay now. Yeah.
All right. Sorry. All right. So where I was here. All right. So the overview of the partners, let's say. So we contacted with the UK Warehousing Association for our scenarios to test our approach for this integration platform. And they have different contacts and different companies associated to them, covering everything you can think of, from 3PL, ports, vendors, retailers, warehousing companies, and so on, right? And generally, they have a kind of a generic vision of what an international supply chain is. And everything mainly starts with a purchase order from someone in some company in the UK, let's say, that wants to get some goods from somewhere around the world. Let's say we want to get some goods from China, let's say. So they get the purchase order to some vendor in China. There's some other partners involved in this process of checking that purchase order and seeing whether everything is going well with the production of the goods. But then at some point, there is a shipping order from that vendor that is managed by a logistics party in overseas, let's say, and then the goods get to a port and then to a vessel. Then the vessel will arrive at some point at the UK, and then it's the same kind of a process, but from port to the warehouse of the importer, right? So the goods get, well, they need to pass the customs, obviously, but then they get through a UK haulier towards well, maybe some distribution centers, and then finally to the warehouse. And then at that moment is when the warehouse can get the goods for the outbound and to selling to the end customer. And as you can see here, there's a lot of steps in this process where sometimes you don't really know where the goods may be, especially in the trips or the journeys between the different steps of this process, right? There's obviously some notifications that are being shared between the different partners, but the main problem identified here, and also in the literature, you may know about the bullwhip effect, which is just delays that aggregate throughout this process because of the just in case we are delayed, they add some time to meet their requirements, right, or the agreements that of service that they've put in between themselves. So what our idea is to incorporate this IoT information to have better awareness of where the goods are at any given moment. So all the decision making can be done more timely at different parts of this process. So just a general idea of the partners that are involved in this project. We have John Lewis, DP World, and Mitch's GL. Mainly, but these are all in the left-hand column. You can see all the different players that will be participating in this kind of a supply chain, and these are the different parts of this process, this generic process, like more into sub-processes that they will be participating in. This is the detail of all of that. So as you can see, it's a pretty complex one. You won't be able to see the individual steps here, but it's not the main point of this. We had to actually go for an A0 paper to actually see all this process in detail. But the main decisions that are made throughout this process are more or less summarized here. Just seeing your forecast as an important and creating your purchase order to the vendors overseas. Then the logistics party in the overseas will manage that vendor, just checking in whether the production of the goods is going well. Then the shipping order and agreeing on times on when the goods are being shipped. Then from the vendor, getting the goods to the port of loading the carrier, and making some pre-arrival allocation of those containers. So when they are gonna be finally delivered in the UK, let's say, and then the execution of all of that when they are gonna clear the customs and when they are gonna be shipped finally to the warehouse. And with that overview, let's jump into an example to kind of clarify this in a more scoped example, right? I'll hand over to see this.
Thank you, George. Please help me turn the pages. So let's see example pilot scenario. In the whole picture, that's one we are very keen on to identify in the overall picture, which is the container delivery planning. It happened in the pre-arrivals. The planning of this container delivery happens in the pre-arrival stage, also happens at the arrival and post-arrival stage. So it mainly covers these two. You can see the colored one, or the rest we turned into gray. And then next one. So basically, this this container delivery planning includes several decisions. One is the allocation of the container delivery, which is currently made in the pre-arrival stage by the importer and also together with the carrier. And and in the D7, in the right bottom corner, it includes another two decisions. One is the container delivery scheduling on the transportation mode. So needs to decide the transportation mode. When this is decided, it also needs to retrieve the shipment and also allocate the vehicles to the delivery orders for the container delivery. So we can see there are containing three decisions here. Can you go next page? Yes, and there are problems there. It is because not all the ETA estimated time of arrivals of the containers or the readiness of the domestic logistics and drivers or the process on the goods clearance are not known by all the relevant parties for their for considering in their decisions. So that will make not so accurate decision for each of these three decisions, and it makes them have to be done in different stages. But what we are thinking that if we can have the ability to introduce more IoT data, which referring to some real-time updates of the ETAs, some information of the readiness of the goods of the vehicles and the progress of the clearance, if these information can be all shared between all the decision makers. So for each single of these decisions can be improved. Not only that, beyond that, we can also thinking about in a more ambitious way that whether we can do a joint decision for these fragmented but interacting decisions to combine them to do at the pre-arrival stage, and then also can do some dynamic alignment in the later execution stage to align the accuracy of the decision. So this can, we're thinking that in this way, it can increase the operation efficiency on each party and overall, and can reduce the congestion and idleness. And next one, a quick overview of how this can be how this idea can be realized by the integrated IoT data platform. So this is how data platform will work. We can see the dashed arrow up from bottom to the up. It means the information in the every stage will be fed into the central platform. So we can always query every party in this supply chain can always query and collect the information as they need to feed into their decisions. So that's the key idea for that. And next one. Yes, and for after realizing this, what we expect the performance can be improved is in different parties. So here listed some improved KPIs, but I just make a conclusion. It's mainly about increase the efficiency of their operations or making better allocation of the resources or making increased efficiency for the labors. So that's mainly for the KPI increasing. And just to highlight again last, so our platform can enhance the awareness and traceability and also support the dynamic decision making. And I think that's all for it. Because of the time limit, we will skip the next steps. Yeah. So do you have any questions? I see one question. How does
let me see this the chat.
Recent increase? What is JIC? Just in.
David, do you want to?
Sorry, Alex. Yeah, David's got from Newcastle. So just in case, rather than just in case, where people have been, having things delivered as they enter the production line, almost as opposed to the current situation where people are moving to just in case and building up stocks, say having a week's stock level rather than 1 day or half a day's stock level. So does your model? Do you have to change your model to account for that that change? As I understand it, that change is happening.
I mean, not really. We just enable the data sharing, and basically we encourage more data sharing between the different partners. So if someone wants to just gather more and more stocks just in case they will need it during this kind of a bad periods of time due to the coronavirus or any other case, they will just need to make a bigger purchase order, I guess, but they will know when they can get those in times. But the other way around as well. So there's a good example that the CEO of the UK Warehousing Association always states to us, and it's imagine that your well, summer is coming, let's say, and there's a lot of people wanting a barbecue, right? A brand new barbecue for that season. But to be prepared for that, you make a purchase order around, let's say, March to get all that stock ready for, let's say, spring and summer. So in the middle of that purchase order and that shipment that you've already ordered, you may get that the forecast for the whole summer is going to be really, really bad. It's going to rain every day, and then you're not going to be able to actually sell all those barbecues. Then this kind of situation, enabling that dynamic decision making, will help the different participants in this supply chain to actually hold that number of goods, and maybe even put it back or reroute it to other locations, let's say. So I hope that kind of.
Yeah. Thank you. Enjoyed your talk, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think John has a sort of similar comment around just in time. Just I guess, given the current times, we are moving into a bit more stockpiling rather than ordering everything just in time.
Yeah.
Just in general, what do you think about this? How can IoT help, or does it have any relationship to these kinds of different procurement practices? What you're doing?
Maybe Shi, if you want to help me out with the answer to this, because
yeah, I think we are more keen on actually the just-in-time, because we hope to make the flow more smooth across in different processes. And regarding the just-in-case, I think it's anyhow necessary for inventory. But here we are not very focusing on the inventory part. We are more focusing on scheduling the resources, like human resources, vehicle resources that we can utilize. So maybe we are still keen on to reduce that just in case situation as much as we can by utilizing the IoT facilitating by the IoT platform. Yeah,
but there's something that I can think it would. I mean, this data sharing, because it's not only IoT that you're going to be sharing and populating in between the different partners, but also, for instance, the progress of the production, right? Right now, the logistics, as I explained before, the logistics party overseas will be checking maybe once or twice or maybe 3 times during the whole production of the goods, right? But that production may last for 6 months, 9 months in some cases before it's actually shipped. So in a just-in-case scenario, you would may be able to start shipping part of that purchase order in the middle, so everything gets let's say accelerated throughout the entire supply chain before. So you will be, let's say, splitting your original purchase order in different sub orders, let's say, and they can be shipped more timely as the production is progressing, which the vendor will be also able to check in this kind of a platform.
Yeah, I think there is also a question from Herman. He's asking around about what specific infrastructure elements are you adding to this network? It seems quite complex and an ambitious sort of development. What is already being developed? What are you developing? What are you taking off the shelf, I guess, is if I'm interpreting that question correctly.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the question, Herman. I think it's clear that you need to go for a cloud type of service, and and actually under pitching scenario, we need to use off-the-shelf products there or services, and in this kind of setting where there's different partners, different companies with different requirements that they will need to share information. They will need to set up, well, we will need to set up in our prototype that kind of cloud, and enabling them to interface with it and actually upload that information in a kind of a standardized way, let's say. So we are thinking of just a cloud service plus some software to interface with the different systems if we are allowed to tap in them. But if we are not allowed, which is normally what would happen, we will just enable some API to actually download and upload the information to the platform. Right.
And it will be, I presume, so John Lewis in this case would be bearing the cost of all this.
The cost, actually, we allocated some of the budget for the prototype itself, and I guess like when they see it working, they may be interested on creating let's say broader a version of the same prototype. So we are gonna focus only most likely from port to the warehouse for the prototype. And then obviously if you want to create the integrated platform for the entire supply chain, that's a bigger project, right?
Sure.
We are not aiming for creating that big one, but just a small part of this project or this process that enables us to actually validate our approach.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much, Jorge.
Yeah.
And Shuya, I think she had to leave, but thank you very much, both of you. It's an interesting one to keep talking to each other, I guess, around. Okay. Oh, you had another slide?
It was in the next steps, but I don't want to use the time of the rest if not needed.
Okay.
I mean, if you want, I can go quickly over it, but
yeah, just 1 minute, and then we can quickly go over to
basically next steps. We need to confirm all these steps of the supply chain, because they gave us a kind of a generic supply chain, right? So all that, let's say, if I go back quickly here, all this big chart here, all this schema is a generic one, and we need to confirm with the different partners if they are actually doing some of these steps, or we need to include more steps or just remove some of them. So that's one of the next steps. Also, we have designed the architecture of the platform itself, but once we know which are the information requirements from the different partners and who is gonna have access to what data, then we can go on and get these off-the-shelf services to implement the different modules in our architecture. And that's basically it for the next steps.
Thank you. Right. So we look forward to hearing from you guys.
Yeah.